Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Today and at countless hearings, we hear about the most vulnerable children in our Commonwealth, and today I pray for those providing direct services to these children to continue to find the strength and compassion to serve our Commonwealth in such an important role.
Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
liberty,
and justice.
Okay. I recognize Councillor Devaney for a motion to record advice and consent for the financial warrant.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I recognize Councillor Ferreira for a motion to record advice and consent for the pending list of notaries, public, and justices of the peace.
So moved, Governor.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. I recognize Councillor Depalo for a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Lawrence F. Army Jr. to the position of Associate Justice of the Probate and Family Court.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. I had several.
Second.
I'm sorry, the motion was not made.
Oh, okay.
If I may, Lieutenant Governor.
I made a motion.
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second.
For what? For,
There is a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Lawrence F. Army Jr. to the position of Associate Justice of the Probate and Family Court. There's been a motion and a second.
Point of information that went very fast, and I think that, in all due respect, Councilor Depalo stood up to say something, and it's his district, and I think he should be recognized.
He can be recognized.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. What I was going to say was that I've had several good conversations with this nominee, and I felt that my mind was made up quite some time ago. Since the hearing, we've all received allegations, including documentation, of concerns at the hearing. And so I think for this nominee and for myself, I would prefer to see a second hearing so that the nominee can address those concerns.
is that a motion?
I intended to make a motion to the council if the council agrees to hold a second hearing.
But there's a motion on the floor before that motion. I'd ask that we deal with that motion first.
I guess move the motion.
District Councilor speaks first, and he did not make the motion. So I think that, that we're putting the horse before the cart.
Well, there's a motion and a second. There's a motion and a second on the motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Lawrence F. Army Jr.
Make the motion.
We have a motion to stay that vote? I'm trying to, I don't know. Well, he hasn't said that. Okay, what you do, but you have a motion to stay the vote on Lawrence Army, so your motion can go forward.
My intention is to.
What is it?
Council, you are correct. My intended motion is that this council consider opening a second hearing prior to voting for the
You
nominee.
have to stay that vote. You have to, that's the first one.
Stay.
I move to stay the vote.
All right, so procedurally, we got to vote on that one first.
Point of contention. I disagree. There was a motion first by Councilor Jubenville, which I seconded, to move the roll call vote on the nominee, yes or no. Then there was a motion to stay. I think we have to vote on the first motion first, which is yes.
Motion to stay the vote.
Yes.
Motion to stay the vote
Should have been made first. That should have been made before the other motion.
has to be voted on first.
I disagree because Councilor Jubenville made the motion first, which I seconded before anything else was done. I think that gets voted on first. That gets voted on first. And then if that doesn't succeed, then we can entertain another motion. Can we ask counsel? We have counsel in the room here to the governor.
That's right. The first motion gets the precedence, and then the subsequent motion, gets considered.
I'd like to speak on this. First of all, it is the policy of the council that the district councilor stands and makes the motion. No one else has a right to interrupt that motion. That's what I've been 23 years that we've done. Now, the other thing is I want to say, 23 years, I have never, ever received negative accusations after the hearing. People come to the hearing in opposition, not after. So I think it's only right to respect the district councilor who, instead of standing and making the motion to appoint, he wants another hearing. I think we have a responsibility to have this person who was accused to the hearing. These people didn't have the courage to come in person and to come after the fact. We're left in limbo because he is left in limbo because he can't answer his accusers. So I disagree, I'm sorry, with the legal opinion because this council, first, the lieutenant governor calls on the district councilor makes the motion, and that should carry. No one should interrupt and make a motion. That carries first. And I don't know what is going on here, but all I know is that I have never, in 23 years, got accusations after the fact. They have sat here, they have talked, they have put their life on the line. These are attorneys, they put their name here at our hearing. After the fact is not fair to anyone, not to anyone, okay? So that's my point. And we have really disrespected the district council's role.
I move for a vote. I move for a vote.
I second,
I think
get to move the roll call vote.
Kennedy.
I do not support a new hearing. And if that came to a vote, I would vote against a new hearing. But I do think he has the right to bring the motion.
make a motion. 2-minute recess. This is all.
I second Council Ionelli.
Recess. Our assembly is called back to order. We have a motion to record advice and consent for the appointment of Lawrence F. Army Jr. to the position of Associate Justice of the Probate and Family Court. And we have a second. Discussion?
Second to move the vote.
We're going to have a roll call.
For discussion.
Already discussed this matter.
Discussion.
We already discussed.
No discussion?
The vote.
No discussion. What a democracy.
We may commence the roll call.
Councilor Depalo? No. Councilor Hurley?
No.
Ferrera?
Yes.
Naperville?
Yes.
Councilor Devaney?
Yes.
Councilor Ionelli?
Yes.
Kennedy?
Yes.
And we have a nomination from last week.
Results?
2.
We have a nomination from last week that needs to be scheduled. Margaret F. Albertson to the position of Associate Justice of the Boston Municipal Court. Councilor Jubinville, do you have a date?
It's 9:30, what is it, 28th, I said?
Yes.
9:30 on the 28th.
Excuse me.
That's,
Given the traffic nowadays, we have it at 10 o'clock, please.
you got it. You got it.
Absolutely.
What day?
28th.
8th?
2 weeks. 2 weeks from today.
Okay.
Okay, we have a new nomination. Brian Palmucci has been nominated to the position of Associate Justice of the District Court. That's within your jurisdiction, Councilor Ionella.
5th, 10 a.m.
Okay,
Lieutenant Governor,
Counselor.
point of inquiry.
Don't we have a nomination?
Point of inquiry. First of all, for 63 years, every lieutenant governor at our public assembly presents the new nominee that is presented by the governor with a letter, as we have. I have asked you a question, but you still haven't answered it. For 63 years, we got every nominee public, okay, at this public assembly that the lieutenant governor announces. But you still haven't answered why Councilor Juvenville's daughter was private. Why was that private and not announced in public? There was no reason for that. And I didn't hear till privately at 4:06 in the afternoon, because this is where we get the nomination and you call on the district councilor for the hearing. So everything was done privately. And I wonder why you did that out of, first time in history. Why did you do that?
Counselor, wait,
Excuse me, excuse me.
let me speak to this. There's a process for nomination. When we have assembly, we usually have nominations. Most often we do.
Usually, except
They're made. There are times when nominations are made outside of an assembly, when there is an assembly. Sometimes they're made on the same day,
But they're still announced. by-
even if they're not made at assembly. Sometimes there is.
I don't want any argument.
May I please?
Ask to inquire.
Let me finish. Sometimes the nominations are made at hearing. Sometimes at the assembly. If there is no assembly, sometimes they're made on a Wednesday, sometimes they're made on a Thursday. They are all public. All nominations.
They're all here in the public assembly, even
Not
not
all.
that day, it's brought here.
Correct.
I'm just saying, you never answered it, you
Facts
still
are-
haven't, and I'm just saying, everyone, just like today, should be public. No one should be special that it's private. 4:06, I found out. This is not, I don't want it to happen again.
So, just for the facts, nominations are made at assembly. Nominations can be made outside of assembly. Sometimes they're on Wednesdays, sometimes they're on Thursdays. They can be any day.
Always
And
follow
and
that.
the record,
Always follow
all
that.
public, all nominations are public. And so that's the answer to the question.
Sarah Juvenville had a public hearing, open to the public in the State House, on YouTube, open to the general public throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. She was vetted like any other candidate in public, appropriately so, and was a highly qualified individual for the job that she got, period. Everything was public and above board. To suggest, excuse me, I'm talking now, to suggest otherwise is outrageous, frankly. Everything was open to the
Thank
public,
you, Councilor.
period.
Zionella.
Public assembly.
Excuse me. I want to echo the sentiments of Councilor Kennedy. Sarah Juvenville was an outstanding nominee.
Yes, you are.
Excuse me. And I'm glad that not one councilor voted against her, not one. It was a great appointment, and I'm glad everyone voted for her. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Censor,
Councilor Hurley.
I've only been here for 6 years, not 23. But in that time, it has been my experience that we get notices by way of email on weeks when we don't have assemblies. We've had people appointed or nominated on Thursday to give us as much notice as whatever. It can be because the papers weren't ready, it can be a million reasons why. But there was nothing untoward. The announcement was made from the governor's press office about this nomination. There wasn't anything hidden, as might wrongly be suggested. And for once, let's just put this to bed. The poor girl had enough problems having Bob Jubenville for a father.
Okay, that concludes our business today. Thank you.
There wasn't